I finish a two-part video series about a chapter from this book in which Silman taught us how to think in order to find a plan, in order to understand what to do next. At the end of the chapter there was this position and it was asked solve this problem, right? Here we have it, solve this problem, and here I give you the solution. It's diagram 27. The last move made by white was f3. I will start from here. It says we reach the position in diagram 27. What are the imbalances and what is white's plan? Answer: white has a majority of pawns on the queen side. 1, 2, 3. This is the queen side against 2. Okay. A clear advantage in space in that same area. Yes, it's more advantage in space than black, because black is behind. And this king is well placed in the center. Now, this phrase that the king is well placed in the center is valid if we are in an endgame. If it was really a middle game with queens, then it would be a problem, right? To have a king like that exposed. Using his extra territory, white will take his time and restrict the enemy pieces. Once this is done and his rooks stand on optimal squares, white will advance his queenside pawns and create a pass pawn there. If he can advance this pass pawn, he may win. If not, the game will most likely end in a draw. The beauty of white's position is that it is devoid of any real weaknesses. Black has no counterplay and no chance to win. Okay, so Silman in this game was white, because this is one of his games, and black was a player called Van Buskirk. This game was played in Santa Barbara 1989, and it's black to play, okay? Black continue with rook f c8. Note how white's pawn on f3 blocks the black bishop and takes the e4 and g4 squares away from the enemy knight. Okay. Knight b5. So obviously here we have a problem, right? So you probably must do something about it. Yeah, and here it says eyeing the d6 square. So what did he do? Knight e8, bishop d3, king f8. So also here it says the king comes around to defend d6. White welcomes a7, a6. Since knight c3 would leave b6 weakened. So obviously he says black is activating the king because if this is an endgame, he must also bring the king into the center or into the game. And here, if you do this, it's not so good because this will become weak and he wants to do this and this, right? So that's the point of all of this. How did he continue? With rook h c1. King e7, c5, and d6. Okay. So it says if he plays b takes c5, obviously you don't take in this direction, you take here, because then you have like 3 pawn against 1. Is pretty sure that you are going to have a pass pawn on the queen side. Why a pass pawn is that important? Because the more you advance it, and the more black will have to use something to stop it, and then in the end he will have to give up something to actually stop it. So a pawn gain let's say value when it advances, right? Because it reaches the promotion square. Okay, so let's see what else. So c5, d6, c takes b6, a takes b6, rook takes c8, and bishop takes c8. Notice he doesn't comment on this, but obviously it's since on this diagonal is not doing much, is trying to reposition the bishop on two diagonals where he will do more control practically. Okay, a4, d5, a5. Wow, so the pass pawn has been created. The question now is how far can it advance? h6, king c3, b takes e5, rook takes a5, and rook b8. Here it says a trade of rooks would allow white's king to advance to b4. So if he would have taken, take, and then the king enter and support the pawn advance, and that clearly is not something that you want, right? Okay, rook a7, rook b7, king b3. Obviously the king wants to enter, okay, the territory to support the advancing pawn. Okay, here it says, note that white's favorable imbalances were all situated on the queen side, and he has been playing on that side of the board for the whole game in an effort to take advantage of them. Okay, this is a thing I want to tell you, and this is what you will see in many Capablanca's game. Sometimes when he creates a weakness on one side of a board that is sure that that weakness is good advantage, then he starts also to create another weakness on the other side, because then the position crumbles, right? They are not able to do both of them. And that's kind of interesting. So here, after king b3, black played rook takes a7, knight takes a7, bishop b7, b5, knight d6, king b4. Yeah, I think you can see it that that pawn is becoming really strong, right? King d7, king c5, and here he plays bishop a8, b6. The knight and the pass pawn form a barrier. You see that he controls 3 squares. A barrier that keeps the black king from approaching the queen side. Knight b7 check, king b4, knight d8, bishop b5 check. And now, guys, what happened if black plays this move? What would you do if you were white? Okay, I hope you saw it immediately, because this is a checkmate. Okay, so you must be very, very careful what you do. Why? Especially now, because today in today's time controls that are really short, it's easy to fall for something like that. So obviously after check he had to go here, okay, because you cannot go here at all. Okay, so what does he do after that move? Let's see. Knight c8, check. Obviously you cannot go here, you cannot go here, right? He does this, king f6. Ay, terrible. The king is really out of the way. Knight d6, fighting for control of a square in front of a pass pawn, which, if you notice also from other videos, we have when we had the isolated queen pawn, we want to fight for control of the square in front of the isolated queen pawn, right? And so this is the same idea. e5. Here it says desperately trying to get some counterplay. If instead of this he would have played this, he would have lost, and he gives a line. So eventually, guys, when you buy this beautiful book, you can read that line. Let's see how it continues. Knight e8, check, cashing in. The rest doesn't require any commentary. And now we just see the rest of the game. King e7, knight takes g7, e takes d4, knight f5, boom, boom, right? King e6, knight takes d4, king d6, knight f5, oh my god, it's becoming Pac-Man. King e5, knight takes h6. Now remember, he's controlling this, so otherwise this could become a problem. d4, and now he plays bishop e8. Wow, interesting. f5, knight f7, check. Knight takes f7, bishop takes f7, king f4, bishop c4, king e3, and now we have h4, and the game is over. He said here, Silman says, strongly recommend that the reader study this game again after he has finished this book. The sections on pawn majorities, pass pawn, minor pieces, restriction of counterplay, and imbalances that last from the opening to the endgame will enhance his understanding of white's conduct. So I thank you very much. This was the solution of diagram 27 that we saw in a previous video, and you had the tools of evaluating the position thanks to Silman thinking method. I hope you enjoyed this game and the previous game, always from this book. I can tell you this book just cost a few dollars, so please guys, it's something you can buy. It's not that you need to buy a new edition. Obviously, if you want, you can buy the new edition, but the idea is that to study this book will definitely improve your chess, because it's gonna make you think. That's a fact, and that's what you need to do in chess. Think. And you can have your own chessboard and enjoy it very much for just $7. That is what I think I paid for this. Yeah. Thank you very much, and see you next time.